Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to do a video to give you an update on the house project. We're finally getting back to work on it, so you should start seeing more videos coming out as we progress on the house again. We had a really long delay due to holidays and successive waves of bad weather, so it slowed stuff down a lot. After we got the second floor poured, we started getting snow and ice, and it just kept delaying things further and further. I'm gonna go ahead and do a review of kind of where we started and where we are now to bring everybody up to date. And then the next week's video that's coming out will be a house video of us putting up the gable ends. So thanks for viewing our videos and subscribing and liking those videos, and hopefully you're getting some useful information out of it. Introduction to our house building project. There were several different block companies and traditional ICF companies that we looked at when we were trying to decide what we were going to use to build this house, and the company we settled on is this company called Legacy Block out of Orlando, Florida. We liked the way the block went together. We liked the insulation value it provided and the resistance to weather events and all kinds of stuff. Most importantly, they were able to link us up with an architect that could design the house around the building system. The other block companies we looked at did not offer that service. At the time we were doing our design for this house, when we were taking into consideration the cost of building materials, we were trying to find an alternative to fabricated lumber floor joist systems. And we settled on this company called Speed Floor. They were recommended to us by Legacy Block, and I had been looking at a similar system from a different manufacturer. By going with their system, it's going to give us a stronger overall structure, as well as increasing the thermal mass of the structure, and hopefully give us a lot lower maintenance over the lifetime of this building. Due to the cost, we decided to go with a traditional truss style roof system with spray foam under the deck and a Galvalume metal exterior, which is Energy Star rated. Now that I've given you an idea of some of the major construction components going into this project, I'm going to go ahead and put up the drawings to let you kind of develop an idea of what this thing's going to look like. The first one's going to be our front elevation, which is the south facing side of the house. The cladding on the lower portion of the house is going to be stone that you saw us taking off of the older farmhouse in another video. And then we're going to look at the other elevations. The trim on the house is going to be white. The lap siding on the upstairs is going to be a darker emerald green color. Those products are going to come from LP Smart Side with their diamond coat, 30-year finish coating, again trying to mitigate long-term maintenance. The back side of the house is going to have the wraparound porch, but there's going to be an extended section that we will at some point screen in or maybe make into a four-season porch. And beside that is going to be our canning kitchen, so that we can process stuff out of the garden and do our canning outside to try to keep some of the heat out of the house. As we go through the project, I'll introduce the different things we're going to be putting in the house, and you're going to see how this thing's going to be built. So I really hope that you subscribe and come back and watch our progress and ask questions, and maybe learn something that you might want to integrate into your own house in some way. 13s. Okay, that's a scraper. Over the course of 3 days, we ended up loading by hand somewhere north of 15,000 pounds worth of tile. It worked out to be between 5,000 and 6,000 square feet of dowel tile, porcelain tile. And if you do the math, including the diesel going up there, obviously not including labor to load it, it worked out to about 12 cents a square foot, which is pretty good for porcelain tile. We're going to have more than enough to do our entire house. So what we ended up picking up is an Outback Power Systems 48-volt inverter system that, based on the little bit of research I did, is supposed to be capable of being grid tied or off grid. 2006 time frames when this was installed. It was used for a short amount of time and then taken out of service. The panels we ended up with, we got 8 Kyocera KC130TM panels. And these panels seem to be 130 watt panels, so the pattern I was just cutting is this one. This is what's going to go upstairs in the guest bedroom, the office, bathroom, on the landing, so forth and so on. And then this is the one I was cutting this morning. These are bigger tiles. Instead of 12 by 12, these are 13 by 13. This is the pattern that's going to end up going in the master suite, master bedroom, bathroom, walk-in closet, and so forth. So we're going to inventory this pallet. One, make sure we got everything. Two, to see what else might be damaged. We can already see foam smeared down the side and dried in a few places, so I'm assuming that at least one can of spray foam glue has been broken open. For one box of foam glue.
Okay, this says we should have 65.
Okay.
700 ml can. 65 of those.
Well, we're going to have to open these up and see what's in the boxes. Rasps, application guns, and foam glue. This is the block shipment coming in. We were expecting the block to come in pretty close to the same time as the glue and tools and other accessories that we just finished inventorying in the early part of the video. The combination of COVID affecting production schedules and then shipping delays and government workers, dock workers, you name it, being affected by COVID caused a backup in the logistics side of it. And then once our block actually arrived in the port, it was further delayed because it was being held by customs. It was apparently some sort of regular course of events, random inspection, but the entire shipment of this block for us and many other customers was held up.
Too wide?
We're finally getting started on construction, and the first step is to lay out the footings on the ground so that we can start excavation. I'm working with the surveyor here to get the orientation right and get these things laid out so that we can start digging. At this point, we think that the excavation for the footing for the footprint of the house has been completed, so they're starting to backfill with clay and get ready to begin the compaction process so that we can schedule a compaction test where they're going to come out and do a nuclear density test on the work that's been done. This is our first soil compaction test using a nuclear density test to give us a percentage compaction on a modified Proctor scale. So what we're shooting for is at least 95% of what the soils lab has said is a 100% compaction of this type of material.
Okay, this one will pass without even doing the correction. It's going to get over 100% compaction. Okay, so the soils engineer, when we did the first round of compaction tests, determined that we are digging these footings incorrectly. Based on their soil analysis of the site, we thought that we were supposed to go 2 feet below the bottom of the footing, backfill and compact, and then we could put the footing on it. It's not just 2 feet below, it's also 2 feet to either side of the footprint of the footing. Reason being that when the load is transitioned to the soil underneath the footing, it doesn't go straight down, it goes more of a pyramid shape. So in order to carry the load that they've specified for this house, we've got to have a wider footprint of compacted soil underneath. So today our dirt contractor is back out here widening all of these footings so that we can put 3 times as much fill material in as we thought we were going to need. Well, that little thunder shower we just got, first rain we've had in, well, over a month now, wasn't enough to really help the garden or the pasture or anything else, but it was enough to make this clay too wet to work.
Uh, 101.3% prop. Good.
I'll take it.
It's real good. That water probably helped it.
We're estimating that we took about 190 cubic yards of material out of these footing trenches and put basically the same thing back in. The overdig, since it had to be 2 feet and we were losing about 50% on this material, means that we basically put 4 feet of clay back in these trenches and then compacted it down to 2 feet to satisfy the soils engineer requirements. We were out of town moving our daughter to her new college the day prior to this one, so the guys were out here working on these forms, and this is the day that we're actually going to pour.
Now that we All right, it's the next day. So after we did the water cure on this concrete for about 6 days now, trying to prevent cracks from this crazy heat we've been having, now I've got to start backfilling around this footing.
Well, 102% work for you?
That'll work. That's what it was last time.
Was it?
We are at a standstill on backfilling inside this stem wall because the compactor broke. So I'm going to go ahead and lay out and form up the column footing. All right, got concrete coming to fill in this pier, so I'm gonna get to work. We'll let this. All right, we're working on doing the layout for this plate, getting it set up in the Bridgeport mill to bore these 4 holes in it to mount it down to that concrete pad.
What we're working on now is going to be backfilling gravel over the top of this clay we've compacted inside these stem walls.
All right, folks. Last night we got 5.85 inches of rain. So now I'm having to deal with that. What we ended up with, there's about 8 to 10 inches of gravel inside the garage footing. I got that filled until I ran out of gravel and had to order some more. And the house footing is completely full. Once we start getting this pumped out, I'm probably gonna have to come back and dig some more to get it a little lower in the hole. Let's see what happens. Well, we got a leak. Today, I've got to start the process of getting the forms for the slab mounted on this stem wall so we can get ready to pour that, but also so that the plumber can use them to lay in his string lines for putting the plumbing in. He needs to be able to elevate the string lines above where he's going to be digging out to put the under slab plumbing in. So I've got
I'm going to be continuing to work on the form for the slab, and got the plumber coming in. He's going to be working on the rough end.
8 feet on this side.
8 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to
Yeah,
do
so
that.
about right here.
I need to be.
Now that the rough end for the plumbing and electrical that's going under the slab is done, to continue getting this thing ready to pour the concrete for the slab, I've got to go back and clean up all this gravel that was dug up. So that means I've got to screed it off again, fill all the holes, take down the high spots, and then run the compactor over it, except for where there's plumbing under the gravel. Don't want to run the compactor over it because there's a potential to either throw it out of elevation or crack the plumbing in some way, separate a joint or damage the pipe. So we don't want to compact over the top of where these pipes are running under the gravel, but the areas in between, I need to go back and try to flatten all of this out to give us a good consistent slab thickness across the entire surface. Because we anticipate at some point that one or both of us is going to need a walker or a wheelchair or something, we're doing a larger than normal shower in the master bathroom that is a curbless or zero entry shower. So what I'm doing now is putting in a block out so that when we pour the slab, the concrete's going to be outside of that form.
Today's project is pouring and finishing 37 yards of concrete for the slab on our house.
Our project for today is making rebar stirrups and hooks that are going to go in the walls when we start putting them up. The stirrups are going to be used to put together the rebar cages that go in the poured concrete columns in the walls. Because the bender that I was using to bend that number 3 rebar is not stout enough to bend this number 5 or 5/8 bar, I ended up having to make a bending jig and a bender. What I'm making are hooks, and they go inside that block and hang on the rebar that is in a cell above, and then over all of the window and door openings there's 2 number 5 rebars that hang in the center of that cell in these hooks. What we're doing today is working on the structural steel components that are going in the house. What we've got to do is make embed plates that get cast into the concrete in the walls that hold up the I-beams that support the second floor joists. And I also have to fabricate the angle iron that wraps the inside of the stairwells in the main part of the house and then in the garage. This morning I'm going to be working on laying out the rebar that's going to go between the slab and the stem wall and into the base of the walls on the house. The day has finally arrived. We're going to start setting these block today. I thought y'all might like to see a little bit of the fall foliage before it's completely gone and the leaves are all on the ground to start off today's video, because it was very pretty out this year. Getting everything ready for the first 5 feet of concrete. We're continuing the construction of the legacy block on the first floor of the house. Yeah, the vertical rebars you see sticking up out of these particular cells are part of the gable end wall on the garage. So once the second floor is poured, these will be sticking up and it'll tie the block in for the gable ends on the garage and the main part of the house. Today we're going to be working on getting the structural steel I-beams that'll support the second floor speed floor joist set in place and tack welded off so that we can start welding them in solid and get the speed floor installed. Yeah, it doesn't take much. Got it?
We almost have it.
Fat lip wife.
What you're going to see us working on today is the finish welding on the I-beams we installed, and the crew from Legacy Block is going to be installing the speed floor. Project for the house we're working on today, we're going to start getting set up to build the stairs. All right, that was the last stair tacked in, so now I need to start welding them in.
Next major phase in this house building project is going to be pouring the second floor concrete. And to do that, we're going to have to do some prep work to get the structure ready for the concrete.
All right, folks, we are continuing to do the prep work to get this thing ready to pour. And what we discovered after we'd had a few days of rain is that about a third of this decking was not galvanized from the factory. So in order to prevent continuing corrosion and potential rust jacking in the future that would expand and release this decking from the bottom of the concrete, we're going to treat it with a rust converter, sealer, and primer. What we're going to use is some stuff called Seal. Today we're finally getting the second floor concrete poured. So this is what this floor looks like after the pour. We put down this plastic because we didn't know how much concrete was going to leak, and we didn't want to clean it up, try to scrape it off of the concrete if we did have leaks. And we really didn't have any leaks at all.
All right, folks, I think that's going to wrap this video up for today. Thank you for watching, and y'all have a good day.